Hello everyone, thank you so much once again for joining us. So in today's session, we'll be learning about Terraform to deploy your resource via as your ci pipeline, right? So we will understand how to deploy your resources through Terraform, through Azure pipelines. So in order to deploy your resources with the help of Azure pipelines, you need to have some of the prerequisites in place, such as you need to have Azure subscriptions, and you would be needing your Azure DevOps account and Azure DevOps project. And of course, you'll have a within the account, you will have organization, then project, and then we have a service connections, repository, and storage account. These are some of the minimum requirements, right, in order to work with the CI/CD pipeline to deploy your resources through pipeline, right? So we'll try to understand one by one. So as we all know, we have these already in place, and Azure DevOps account also we have it already, and project also we are having it. Now we will focus on the service connection to basically have the service connection, why it is required, as well as other as we all know, right? You will store your code basically. Let's say your applications or maybe Terraform core, whatever it is, it will be stored here, and then you need a storage account. This is something required because you will be storing your backend state file. Now, what is backend state file? If you remember, whenever we are working like locally, we need to store the state file locally, right? We store it locally. But when we work with the remote, let's say through the pipelines, you need to store somewhere in your centralized location. You cannot store in your local. This did not work. So let us go with the one by one. As I mentioned, we have it first one. So I can just show you once. Now, so as I told, we have all the subscription in place, so we are good with this one. First prerequisites met. Second requisite, we have it Azure DevOps account. So we will check this also Azure DevOps account also whether we have it. Right, we have it already. So this is the Azure DevOps account. If you see here, dev.azure.com, we have this already in place. Under here, we have organizations. This is organization. Then we have a project, right? Online shopping, whatever name. Now this is a project that we are having. So we have the projects account projects also. Now we need a service connections. Now service connections is something why we require. Let us see now. If you go to the organizations, or maybe if you go to the under the organization level, you can see something called as organization settings. Go there. You would see something called as become just down. You can see here um, service connections. Maybe it is not showing here. You may need to go maybe under the organizations project level. Let's see, right? Let me go and check project. Let me go to project settings, service connections, project settings. Yeah, here, and it should be under projects, right? Under projects we have a service connections. Let's see this one. So as I told you, we have already this one, and we are using this one. This is a service connection. The way how we can use it, create, I'll show you once, but I will not be creating anyway. We have already, but I'll show you. Go here. Now, if I want to create basically resources through, or basically you want to use your Azure DevOps pipeline to deploy your resources. In this case, you need to have a service connection in place first. The reason why it is required, service connection is basically it's a way of authenticating from Azure DevOps to your Azure service. That means this is the service, right? This is Azure DevOps. If you go here, you want to deploy in this particular Azure portal, right? In the sense your Azure cloud. Now, in order to do that, you need to have the authentications. So this is the reason why we require this service connection also in place. Now, here you would see a lot of options. Let's say Terraform, AWS for Terraform, but we are working with Azure. So in our case, this is the correct name suggestion, right? This is the correct, if you notice, compared to others. So we'll stick with this one, Azure Resource Manager, because why Resource Manager? Because every single resource here, whatever we are using, there's something called as the Azure API we are having, right? So through that, it will authenticate with the help of Azure Resource Manager. So this is the reason why we would be needing the service connection. So I would select this one first. Let's go with the next. Now you would see the option, let's say identity type as app registrations. Now, what basically there is an option called as app register manual or manage identity options. So if you go with the manage identity, you will have a one more manage identity will be created for you, and you need to basically mention where you want to store the manage identity. Manage identity is nothing but it is also a way of basically managing or giving access to certain resource level instead of the entire this thing. So only those who are having the access to the managed identity, we can have it. Like there are two, right? You have a system and user managed identity. So whether you want to go one of them, you can choose. But in our case, let's go with the app registrations. As soon as I click the app registration, what it basically does is that it is going to basically register or create the service connection for you. You can see, right? You would be there is an option of the scope where you want to scope this one. As I told you, we don't have a multiple subscription. We just have one subscription. So I can select here. If you want to scope the multiple subscription level, let's say you have a more than one or two subscription, you want to manage using one service connection, then you can choose one of them. Like say you can choose this one. That means within the managed group, you will have a multiple subscription in place. Then everybody will be all the subscription will be inherited based on the policy or the given the permissions. Now, as I mentioned, I don't have it, so I will go with the single subscriptions. So as soon as I select this thing, this will be selected by default for you. If you have multiple, it will be listed over here. But as I told you, we have only one. Like you can see Azure DevOps Pulse, right? You can see this name. So now we have understood this. Let's select the now. It is asking in order to create your service connection, you also need to have your something called as a resource group, right? So that where you want to place this one, right? You can select any one. Then you can select the name that you wish to give. This is the name that you will be using it in order to basically authenticate to your Azure basically cloud. So in my case, I can give anything. Let's say um, cloud service connection. This name is also or like you can give anything that you wish, right? So then you can give this is optional. You don't have to give. Then this is very important, team. When we create the service connection, there is an option called security, right? Grant access permission to all pipelines. So if you just save like that, it will not be used for entire pipeline. So you have to carefully check. So always try to use a tick mark. You have to tick this one so that this particular service connection for all your pipeline within the projects would have access basically, right? So you have to tick this one and create it. So once you create this thing, what happens now? I will just show you this. As I told you, I have created. So if you notice here, right, you can see this is how it is going to be created. Now, if I copy paste this thing, um, as I told you, there is an option. If you're using a multiple, you get an option like that. Whatever when you're using everything, the user's history, like in the sense that means this particular service connections. That you can see the user's history also, and also the approval. If they have approval, also you can define it. So this is also one thing that we need to understand. But this is not a main thing, but just for your sake of understanding, then I will click this one. I will just if you go here there is an option if it's manage service connection rule. If you click here, what happen? Something's wrong. Okay, let's not. Okay, let me click this one. Let me copy this name. This because this is basically service connection name, just like how I created. Now, if you go here, let me go to the Active Directory because something active. Sorry, not Active Directory. It is a Mac Intra. Right now, it's name change. Microsoft Intra ID. Now, if you click here, go to the manage. There is an option called let me select enterprise app registrations, right? So if you see the app registrations, this is own deleted all applications. Now if you see here, it's not showing on. Do I delete this one? Okay, 1 minute. Let me check. Maybe I not app. It will be under there is a one more called enterprise, right? Not under every level, because so here you can see the many options. So might be somewhere it is there. Mm, mm, mm. Registration 13, enterprise 49. Maybe name is not correct. Anyway, so basically we have the your this thing also register. I will show you though. So maybe somewhere it is somewhere here. I will show you this also. Okay. So it will be created backends for you by default. Okay. So once you have, this is just optional for you to check it. But I was just trying to show you, but not finding it. Maybe somewhere it is hiding. So anyway, I will search and show you that also later. Okay. So once we done this thing, what we do is that then next is that we need a repository, right? A repository also will have a code. Basically in my case, as I told you, we have a repository that we are going to be using. Maybe what is there, I think we are going to use, yeah, so we are going to use this repository. This is as a sample code. Let's not think what is written in the code. On the high level, we'll see how to deploy. Basically it could be any resource. Okay. Now so what we do, this is stored in your GitHub. First let me bring this one into your basically pipelines, in the sense Azure repo. So how can I do that? Let me copy the name if I told one. Now let me go to the here, what is a repo, because I have the service connection in place. Next I'll go to the repo. There is an option, right? Let's click under repo, click there. There is an option, called import repository or maybe new repository. In my case, as I told, we don't have to create new repository. Let's basically use the existing repo that is from your GitHub, and I want to bring an import into my Azure repo itself. So I can just select import. Now I can select the URL. Now this URL is something you would be needing it because you need the option. So there is an option, right? Check, click here. There is an option HTTPS. Select this thing, then give this thing. Now I don't have to give any other because this is already authenticated before. It should be able to clone automatically. You can check the name, what name I have given, right? So if you want to name this thing in any name, you can give it. Let's keep it as it is. Okay. So as you can see right now, so it is right now moving files. The reason you might be having a question, let's say, why are we not using the GitHub? I mean, yeah, GitHub repo. Why are you bringing to your like Azure repo? Because this also we can use. There's nothing wrong using it. But then if you talk about the real-time base, they will not use or store your code publicly, maybe at least in your here. So rather they will store in your what do you say, Azure repo. Okay, so as you can see, this is the basically I have it this thing. Now you can see this is the name we have it, right? So now whatever code is available, you can see the pipeline, whatever I have the pipeline, right? It is available here also, right? Same thing now, it is also stored in my or copy, same copy I have cloned it in my local repository, that is repo, Azure repo. So till now it's good. Now what I do next, because I need to work with the code level also some points, right? So what I need is I need to clone this also in the locally. So how can I clone? This is the this thing. Let me select the repo. If I select the repo, there is an option clone, right? In my case, you can see the branch also if you want to see. Click here. There's a branch option. Like in this particular uh, repository, how many branches are available against the main, right? So if you have some other branch also, you can create it accordingly. So yeah, let's not do create new brands sake of our time. So we'll go with this default one. But what is our interest here is to basically clone this one locally so that I can modify code instead of modifying here. If I modify here also, that works fine. But then if I had to modify multiple code, I will have to commit multiple times. This is the reason why I do not want to commit here individual code. So what I'll do, I will go to the repo. Okay, there is an option to clone. Maybe I can select this thing. Sorry, my bad. In the VS Code, there is an option, right? You can clone it. So yeah, I will create one separate folder where I'll be working so that create as your repo, something like that. I can give any name. So here, I will explain this later, as I told. We will not focus for now. Basically, I'm going to store my empty this thing here. Okay, now it is empty, right? We don't have anything. Now let me take the URL because I need to clone it here. Let me copy. Here there is a call as terminal. Select this one. Now this is, I don't know why it's coming. Anyway, this is the repo where I want us to clone it, right? So simply use git clone. But if you talk about the real time, you don't have to do this one. By default in your system, they'll configure this for you for automatically in the backends. But in our case, we don't have it, so that's why I'm doing it here. Now, what is the first thing I need here? So I need here, what is it? If you take the prerequisites, sorry, if you take the prerequisites, I have this one, right? Storage account. First, I need to have the storage account. Now, this is good now. I am good with here. Now, I need to have a storage account. This storage account can be managed using Terraform, otherwise manually. So in our case, sake of our interest, let's not create Terraform because we need to deploy the resource first, right? So as I told you, to deploy the resource through the pipeline, you need to have the state file. I mean, backends configure. So in my case, I don't have configure backend. So let's first create the storage account. Now, if you go here, let's say I will go with this thing, what I call this storage account. Just carefully listen. I mean, notice here. I will do one more thing. I'll go to the dev.azure.com. Then, sorry, my bad. It is a dev.right. Under here, organizations, I have it settings, project, right? Under projects, basically, not organized. On the project, you go inside this project. Now there is a project settings. What is that? Okay, we want to work with the pipeline, right? Sorry, we want to work with the pipeline. You go to pipeline, not here. Within the project, you go to the pipelines. Under pipeline, you something called as a library, right? Click there, and I have something called as a variable group as this one. I will not discuss for now. I will explain later. But what I want is whatever details I have here, let's say you have the container name, because this is for your storage account, right? I will keep the same name as it is. The reason why I don't want to create again and again, so that I can use the same variable group. Now I will keep the same storage account, backend storage account. So before the resource group name need to be checked. So if you go the resource group, this is the resource group. If you want to change it, you can update. You have to update here also. So I'll create new storage account from fresh. Let's say I'll give a same name as it is. Okay, resource group name I given. Then I have to give a storage account name. Storage account name also I can take it from here because actually you can give, but then configure variable also in the pipeline so that it will save our time also. Then what else then? Do you have a Terraform basically what it back right? So,
There's a
is it
we
is
can't
it
hear
okay?
you.
Okay. Is it okay now?
No, it's fine. Okay.
Okay, okay, thanks. Yeah, so I'll go with there is a policy given. So basically, if you think right now we are just creating the simple storage account based on the value defined in here. The reason why I'm referring this one because I have already used the variable group, and I will discuss when comes to this point variable group why we are using it. Okay. So I think I'm good right now because I have the resource group, I have the storage account name, and region can be anything. So the state file you can store for any region in your storage account. But let's keep it something common or familiar that we are with, right? So I can go with this thing maybe. Okay. Now this is good, and this is good. Now let's go next. Now just carefully you have to notice one thing here is that like here under networking, just for now you give this all access or like public access so that because we are using publicly, but in your real time they will not have access this one. Okay. The process I'll explain how privately they access that one. Okay. Next, protection or can remove it. I can remove for now maybe. I don't need it, right? Because of the I don't need. But only one thing I would be needing is if you notice here, enable versioning for blob. So you always try to you have to enable this one. So what it does basically use versioning to automatically maintain previous version of your blob. Say example, because we are going to store our state file right here in the store in this storage account. So the TF terraform.tf state file will be stored here. So for every single changes in your Terraform, the kind of the updates should also be tracked, right? So this is the reason why we need to enable this also. So okay, I'm good with this one. I will simply I think I'm good with this anything. I don't care anything. Let it be as it is. I don't care about the tag also. Let's just go ahead and create it. So guys, basically what we are doing now, we are simply creating the storage account with the enable versioning enable. Okay. So then and also referring the existing storage details here. Okay. The reason why question is why am I using this variable? Why is it useful? Why do I need this one, right? The reason why is if you don't use also that is also absolutely fine. You can skip this one. But the reason why we are using is as part of the industry best practice. You cannot store basically your state file or every details in your pipeline. This has to be isolated. This is the reason why this thing now why variable group you have if you have a set of variables where you want to group as one and call with the variable group name, then you can use the variable group. That means within the variable group now if I have to call each value, right, let's say I want to call the backend storage state file or maybe storage account, I can simply call with this name, group name, not the each value name. Okay. Okay, let's go now. I think sorry, let me create it. Okay, let it get created. Meanwhile, what I need to do is that now how the Terraform will know the particular state file, basically where to store, right? Because now similarly you created a storage account, but how the Terraform or maybe Azure, they will know where you have to store your state file. But I know that because I'm doing now that I want to store it here, but how they will know, right? So I need to make sure that that is also working as expected. So but now here I have passed it, that's okay, but where are you linking them? You have to link them, right? So first what we do, let's go to the repository, because I need to tell my Terraform core also that boss, I'm not going to use my local what is it backends. I'll be using a remote backend, that is Azure this thing. I have to specify. Now here we have a manifest file, Terraform manifest file. This is where we have core, right? So as I told you, whatever core it is, let's not think about the core for now. But on the VM level or backends, we have a backends here. We have a backends here, right? This backends now, if you see here, I have this backends. Let's say I have this backend as I have to given within the same providers actually, right? If you go to the resource, this is not a module base, but then this is just a simple basically for testing that we were using long time before. So yeah, so we have all the providers, everything. So what I'll do now, I have a separate folder called as a backend. Here I have it. So this here, what happened now, problem here is if you defining the value within the code. Now if you see here, this is stored where in your state file, right, in your Terraform code. But normally, as I told you, you will not store, you should not be storing your backend detail, because as I told you, this is very sensitive, right? You should keep somewhere very much, isolated place. This is the reason why I'm doing is, instead of keeping it here, so what I'm doing is I'm storing my here, but still how the Terraform would check the particular backend need to be taken the value from the Terraform variable file, variable groups. How they will know? I mean, not Terraform variable file. I would say this is a Azure, in Azure DevOps variable group. How they will know that, right? This is the reason why here, instead of defining here, for now I will just commented this one. Okay, for your check, you can, this is also possible. What you can do is simply I can type a like you can type as a backends. You cannot use a backend like this. So what do you do? I will hash this also. You can store basically backends within your what you share here, like this Terraform. That means now what I can do is I can mention as Azure RM backend like this. So if you go to the providers, I don't have anything. I will do a one providers here. Like this, we have one providers here, right? So random also, let it be as it is. If you see under here, we have here under same Terraform block, I can define here this time backends. In backends bar, I will keep a value as empty Azure, because backend means now we need to know what is the backend are you going to use. We are using Azure backend, right? Because we are storing the this thing. Now I cannot keep this as it is. I have to move like this. That means right now what is going to do? This backend will be used, but without any value. That means this is an empty value basically. But I'm just trying to say that please use the Azure backends, but take the value from the your variable group that is stored in your pipelines. But then I have to identify or I have to define in your resource. So this is how in your real time also you'll be using it. You will not pass the value just like here how I passed it, because this is sec of your understanding I am showing you. Okay. So, but yes, this is also possible, nothing wrong defining here, but then this is not a best practice. You should not be doing this. So I have to define it here, but for practice purpose, you can go with this also. But let's focus on the this thing now. Let's say I'm good now. Now, okay, I'm good now. What is the next? Okay, now next I go to the backend also. That means backend's configuration is done. But one thing, if you notice, I simply create a storage account. But what about the containers? Because state file need to store the TF state file, right? So where is the container? So I need to create a container. I just created the storage account. That's it. But I need to create a container also. Create a container. Now in the container, whatever name that I have updated here, this is the name I want, right, for the container. So I can copy paste it because I want to use the same name. Now let me keep as it is for now. This thing. Okay. Now you have a container in place. That means now you have a container. Then you might be thinking you have one more call as this thing, right? That have backend state file. This one. Why are you not mentioning here? Reason is we don't need to mention under container. This automatically this should get updated, because right now we don't have the Terraform configure we didn't deploy any resource, right? So there is no any state file. The state file has to be done automatically based on your configurations. Okay, now let's go. So we have understood here. So here work is done. You don't have to define any other because everything is done. Service connection also I have defined it here. That is something I have already explained. I have passed the value also here itself. Okay, now let's go to the next point. So I'm good here, right? I have everything in place. Now what I need is I need to deploy the resource to the this thing. Now I have the code also. Okay, now let me one thing. Let me first check the status because I have modified some code. This code need to be sent to the remote also, right? Sorry, let me go to the your locations. It is a web app, right? Now if it ls, sorry, not ls, it is a grid status. Now I have done two changes. One is the backends because I have removed the backends, didn't use it, and here I have used it, right? So here we have all the providers related things. So yeah, That's good. Now let me commit this thing. I can use the git commit instead of like add dash am. Then I can use the message name. I can mention updated backend, right? Now backend updated. Now I need to push the changes now because this is from the which branch. I can check the branch also, which branch I'm currently setting. I'm in the feature slash. Oh, I'm in the feature slash, is it? Okay, so I need to switch maybe. How come this feature slash I made it? Let me check. Feature slash is available in the here, not here. Okay, I should have done in the main branch. But anyway, we can do, then this is good for us also to learn. Okay, let me push, no problem. Git push. Okay, now normally this is also one way of understanding for us. Now we have not pushed the changes to the main branch, but we modify the changes to the particular feature slash git branch, right? So let me go to the main branch. Sorry, here. If you go, you can think of the real time, like how normally we will be creating the branch based on the changes. So we have done the changes and we push the changes to the particular feature branch. Now what we do, this code need to be reviewed now because we have updated this one. So how can we review the code? So if you go here again, go to the pipeline repository, refresh it. If you refresh it automatically, maybe 1 second refresh, there is an option called the here right, pull request under repo in your basically Azure DevOps. Click pull request. If you do a pull request, you can select a new pull request. Now pull request time. Now from where to where it has to be marked. So I can select this is a feature slash into main. Now you can see like that means from the main to into the main. Now, if you remember this, we have hashed out that we can see, and we have configured this also, right? Changes. That means if you compare with the main branch as well as um, correct main feature, right? This is for the others. So as I told you, we are using here. This is the thing one main branch. That means into features. So now we know the changes like we if you check it here, like the changes that we made these changes also. Then we made this also. If you remember, here is what we have updated, right? Everything. So good now because we did in the feature branch. So what I'll do next, I will basically give a title name. I can mention the updated backends because this is about the backend related. Now who is going to be approved? You can give a name. In my case, I will keep myself as approver. Normally, you should not be doing that. Somebody has to approve your code. But in checkup art practice, this thing, let's focus. Now I can set up file changes also. So I can review myself if you want to review the code because it is assigned to me, right? You can just go to file. Even if you want to check by your own also, you can check the changes. Like what all changes happen also, you can go to files and see here. You can see the line number, what is a file number, file name, what is the folder directory, everything you can see, what is the changes they made, everything you can see, right? And which particular file, everything you can check it, right? So this will help me to understand where the changes happen. So, okay, I'm good with this now. I don't have to think much about the here. Let's focus here. This is good. I have reviewed everything. First, let me basically create pull request. This is the basically what I'm doing now. I is the peer pull request. You can see option called as optional. If I want to change now, there is option as mark as required. That means now it is require Hriyen. That means I need to review. I must accept it or I must approve the PR. If I don't, you can see here, Hriyen must approve it. If I don't approve it, you can run the, you cannot merge the code to the main branch, right? The changes whatever you make in the main in the feature branch, you cannot be merged to the main branch. So in my case, I given as a main. This is the reason why I have to do it. So as soon as I click here, you can also see notice here auto setup complete, right? This will be enabled. If you optional, this will be removed now. See, it is gone. Okay, that is also one way of to basically now. Okay, now anyway, in my case, I given as an optional. Let me give as a maybe a required also. It depends on you. You can give anything. I can if I click here, that means I want to merge. Merging time, there is an option called, if you see here, delete the branch. You cannot have this thing. Now, in my case, I don't want to delete it. I will this thing. Now, if you go with the other option, let's say optional, when you try to approve it, let's say I will try to approve, what happens now. This thing, right, what is associated, this also you if you have, you can associate, but in my case we don't have anything right in. I will keep as it is. So anyway, it works fine. I can give it optional or the required means something that is required to accept it, I mean approve it. In my case, let it be as optional. I will approve it because it is assigned to my name, so I would be able to approve it. Okay, now good. Now, if you see the approve, there is an option called, if you want, you can reward, you can do a cherry pick. That means same changes, if you want to apply to some other branch also, you can just use the cherry pick and apply to the respective branch. Now you can share marks, PR, pull request marks with the number and the name that you updated. Okay. Now that means now if you go to the repo and if you go to the main branch itself, now the changes that we make, you can see here also in the same branch. If you go to the here, we have the Terraform manifest, then we have a backend was, if you see with this remote, and if you go to the version is what we have updated the here, right? This is what we updated in the B, because this is coming from where we have merged it from your feature branch to your main branch. All right, this is good till now. Now let's start the pipeline, how to set up. Right now we have understood the complete flow from the very basic. Now let us see how we can deploy using pipeline. So as I told you, everything's now, whatever prerequisites we are meeting every single requirements now. Now let's stick with the deployment now. So now let's go to the pipeline. So now, as I told you, this time I will take the code from the Azure repo only, because this is where we have the code in place. Now let me create new pipelines. Now, as you click the pipeline, there is an option where is a core stored. As I told you, we have stored the core not in the GitHub, but this time Azure repo, right? Let me select it. As I click here, I will be having an option to basically select the right correct one. So I'll be having a lot many. This is the correct one, right? This that we are working with. If you want, you can check it. Here is what it is, right? You can see that web app ASP.NET code is what it is, right? So this is the reason why we will be using. The last name is .git. You can ignore this thing. This is the name that you define here. So I will be selecting. There's nothing any other. So let me select. So if you select, as soon as you select by default, this will be taken the default this thing. From where they are taking, this is the taking from the value that is from the default. Default means default, there is within here same thing. If you see within the same code, you have a Azure pipeline.yml. This is the default pipelines that you have it. I can show you that also. If you go under maybe same repo, right? Let me maybe manifest. There is a one, this thing, right? This is the default name. So if you give 1 2 3, this will not be default. If you give same as it is this name without any number, this will be considered as a default this thing. Now whatever things you see here, let's say changes that you can just try to understand, right? I mean see, right? This example variable, whatever name you mentioned, same thing you can see here also, right? Because we are with this default value. There is the other also. Now if you want to change to any other, then you can select this thing. So first what we will do, we will see how we can define the code basic level, or like what we do. I will remove everything because I don't need it for anything. I'll be writing from very basic. So in order to write from the basic, what I do is I will refer the documents again. Two documents I'm going to refer. One is the official, second is the one that we have done it. So that we will have a proper understanding as well as we can refer. So what we do, okay, now I'll move this one also here. I have a state file. If you see, let me take you back. Maybe if you see Azure pipeline stays in Azure pipeline, or maybe structure, you can pipeline stages or stage, you can mention it. You can click the first link. As you click the first link, what it takes you to the official documents where it explains, let's say, it explains about your what is a pool, you have to mention what is the steps. This is optional, this is for very basic. If you want at all, you can do it. And this job, sorry, pipeline has one implicit stress, right? You can see under jobs we have a step job, we have a step, under we have a different steps, but same concepts. We have another this thing. If you organize your pipeline into multiple stages, you can use something like stages keyword. So like this, under stages we can have a stage 1, stage B, stage C, and so on. Under each stage can have a job. Under jobs we can have a job and a name of the job, like this. So this is also possible. Then as I told you, and also if you see here, if you choose just to specify a pool at the stage level, all jobs defined at the stage use the pool unless specify at a job level. What it means basically, if you remember, let me take you maybe here, let me come back, right? If you notice here, we have a where is that here, right? This is defined BM image. This is basically pool, right? In my case, as in whatever name we are using this thing. But if you're using this thing, this is one way of defining on your global level. In the sense, global in the sense that means every single jobs can be used the same agent, right? If you don't want to do for each agent, for each job can have a different agent. Let's say in this within this thing also I can have another agent also pool, under I can define different agent also if I want to use. So we all know what is agent, right? Like a self-hosted. This is not a self-hosted, this is a Microsoft hosted. There are two types of agent, right? Microsoft hosted and the self-hosted. Microsoft hosted is something that is managed by Microsoft and where you do not have any control, and this will be used only when you run particular stage. Let's say in particular stage, whenever you run your pipeline, that time the particular basically the agent will be used. Later it will be destroyed. When it comes to the self-hosted, as an infrastructure you manage them. That means even it has a control to do any sort of security or maybe to configure some tools or anything. That means you have a control on everything on your infrastructure level, on your BM or on your agent. Okay. Okay. Now let's come to the next point. I will, as I told you, I will remove this one. I'll stick with the official documents. So we have understood the high level. Under stages, we can have stage, whatever stage name I can give, then we can give a display name. If at all required, we can give some depends on why we require. Just like in Terraform, we learn, right? After completion of the first stage 1, then only stage 2 should trigger like that. Or maybe after stage 2, then stage 3 should get triggered or maybe run. Something like that. Let's say stage 1 having issue, the stage 2 would not be able to run the pipelines or it not get triggered. That way we can define it based on the conditions. And there is options conditions right there, but depends on the conditions. And the pool, as I told you, on the this level you can define it as well. You can see something like this. If you have this thing and the stage, we can have a stage, then we have a QA jobs and the product related, we have different stages. Okay, there are many way of defining. Now this is the high level. Now if you see, we can refer very similar of this one. Yeah, something like this also we can refer, right? So what we'll do, we will go with the very basic. As I told you, first thing what we need, let me refer my documents. Sorry, it is defined here, right? Okay. Now I have it here, pipeline, right? I have the a 20 number, line number 20 or 21 something. I was just doing it. I think I will 21, because this 21, why I am using here is because the 21 here we are using a Terraform. Now same process. Now if you notice here, first what we are doing, we are using the main, right? Under main, we are defining the whatever the name we have Ubuntu. So what I'll do, instead of, because to type this everything is quite difficult. So rather what I do, I simply copy paste this thing so that I can explain it here better. Okay, I have copied it. Okay, now first thing we all know, right? first thing what we need, trigger is the main, because now I'm trying to say that whenever any changes in your main branch, please trigger the pipeline. Second is a pool. Pool is something, as I told you, there are two types of basic agent pool we have. One is a self-hosted and Microsoft hosted. In this case, we are using Microsoft hosted. So when it comes to Microsoft hosted, this is how you should be using it. And if you are using the self-hosted, this is for the Microsoft hosted. Microsoft FT hosted agent, right? And this is the format. That means whenever you are using the Microsoft hosted agent, you have to use as it is. Like whatever the BM image, you have to give the same as it is, same name. And this name can be changed, depends on the task that you want to work. If you're working with a Windows base, you can select the Windows. Otherwise, you can select the Ubuntu, depends on your choice. But this is the format we need to follow. This is a space you have to give. After this thing, BM image, you have to give one space, then define it. Okay, this is the thing. Same way, if you're going with the self-hosted, self-hosted, that means, as I mentioned, you are managing it, right? You cannot use like this. So you have to give like this name. Instead of the BM name, image name, you give a name. Now, if you give a name, automatically you can see there's a one space got initializer automatically got moved it in the right way. Now, how do I know which one to use? Now you need to configure in advance. So I have already shown last time also, right? How to use the basically how to use the existing, or maybe how to create the self-hosted. I have shown, right? So in my case, I have already configured also one. I'm going to maybe show you that also. So in order to use a self-hosted, I cannot show you right now to step by step, but I can show you what is required, right? So if you go to the pipelines, under pipelines, there is a pipeline projects, under projects, right? There is a agents, right? Under projects, or this is my project, right? Here we have a self-hosted agent pool we have, right? Under agent pool, now you can see the one is a Azure pipeline, second is default. This is the agent pool. Don't be confused. This is not an agent. This is an agent pool. What is agent and agent pool? Agent is something nothing but it is a individual or one single agent. Agent pool is nothing but it is a set of agents. That means within the agent pool you can have more than one. You can have a agents. Then you can use the agent pool while using it. Now, in my case, agent pool, as I told you, there are two. One is the default, second is your Azure pipeline. So I'll go with the first one. As I click first one, this is the agent I'm having right now. This is offline because I have stopped it. You can configure if you want to, let's say under same pool, if you want to have a different new agent, you can create a new select this thing 64, and you can choose your agent type as Windows, Mac, or maybe the Linux. In my case, it is a Windows. Then you could download. After downloading in your the system where you want to install the agent, you have to use a, you can use a PowerShell, or you can use this manually also. Basically, what it will do, it will create a folder called as a agent mkdir, nothing but Mac directory, right? That means they are going to make a directory name as agent and switch to the in the sense move to the particular direct agent folder or directory. Once it is done, this particular what it will do is that whatever download you have done it, they will extract and move it to particular folder. Once they have done under the folder, something called as in the same directory, you have something called after extracting, you will have this folder that is a config cmd. Okay, now I can show you this also because I have done it in my local system. That now if you go to this thing, um right, if you you can see here, sorry, this agent, right? Go to agents, system, Windows, system 32. This is the default this thing, right? Under system 32, whatever name, what did I give the name? This thing under agent, I given agent, right? I can search with the agent name under here. Now yeah, system 32 agent. Maybe I changed the folder directory. Let me check. It's system or system32. I don't remember. It is on the anyway. So basically, once you extract it, you can be you can see here basically. 1 minute. Let me check once again. It will be under Windows. Under Windows, we have Asien maybe. Under Windows, we have system32. System32. Here. I don't know why if I type also not coming. The Asien, right? Once you basically I create a folder called as Asien, and once you extract, this is how it should be coming. Now, if you check here config.cmd, you have to run basically this particular part. You can basically open your PowerShell, or you can use a PowerShell. You can use either one. You can run as administrator. Now, if you see by default, this is the by default system directory, right? I have to switch to the Asien. So cd Asien, right? If you Asien, now if I do ls, now you can see the changes, right? Whatever I say. Now, if I want to run, now you can see the what is the command they have given the documents they've given. You have to run dot this one. How it will once you type this automatically this will come. Now, if you type config also automatically this same one. Now, if you type config like that, you can actually use a like this. You can copy paste this same basically what you call, there is a config, right? Copy paste same thing, type it according to the documents format, right? So yeah, once they are done, then you're good. Now, if you want to, then you have to configure it. Once you're done, then you have to configure it. Once your configuration is done, then you can basically run these commands. This command would basically listen it right now. Let's say if I type here, let me copy paste this thing, because I have already configured as I told you. Now, before that, if you go to agents, I'm just trying to show you. If I go to agent, you can see this is right now offline, right? This is offline. Now, that means this particular agent would not be able to pick any job for you. Now, if I want to make this online, I can simply run this one, because this is what they have given as per our documents, right? So I will run this thing. This is basically a service where it basically runs it. That means as a service, whenever you want to use it, you can run it. Now you can see, right? Connected, then you say the scanning for the tool capabilities, then connecting to the server, then they're listening now. Now, as soon as they're listening now if you can see now it is online, that means now this particular agent can pick the job for you. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, this is how you can configure it. So in my case, as I told you, if I want to use this agent, how can I define? Now you have to call with this name, not the agent name, but then you have to call with the whatever the agent pool name. Now, as I told you, how I can define is here you have to use a like this default. Understood? You have to use with the default. If you want to use a self-hosted, this is for the self-hosted. Self-hosted. In my case, I don't. I for now I will remove this thing because I don't want to do that. Right. Sorry, I can keep this also, no problem. For now, I will use the default one, that is the Ubuntu one, because then some tools sometimes we need to install, right? Okay, now we have understood till this level. Now, according to the documents, whatever we have defined, like we have understood, right? Under stages, we have stage. Let's say let's stick with the stage itself. And the stage, it can be any stage name you can define, display name, jobs, the same structure. Under steps this can be changed, because steps can be it can be a step, or it can be any kind of basically a task. Remember, I'm saying under steps, this can have a script or the task. Now, if I in this case, it is a script, right? But if you talk about our case, maybe I can show you. Yeah, under steps, you can see the task. As I told you, this can be a under steps can have a steps. Under steps, we can have a task or the script. But this is the normal flow we need to follow. Now, how do you know this is the correct flow? As I told you, I have shown you official documents. This is not something done by us, but this is the official documents. We have referred it. Same way we want to implement it. Now we have understood this thing. Only one thing we need to remember here is that to basically know syntax, how syntax are working. Okay. Now that means now stage means, because I want to init means I want to initialize the Terraform, so that I need to first initialize Terraform, right? So this is the reason why I have done it. Then this is a job. To initialize this thing, I have a jobs. Under jobs, also name of the job is Terraform init. The under steps is where you basically install. Here, if you notice here, tasks. I want to install a Terraform because I have to install a Terraform first. Now, if you don't know how to define this and all, you simply click here, settings. Automatically, you need to install the basically Terraform extension also. If normally this will not show for you in your case if you're doing for the first time. So what you can do is, let me open one more different tab, right? I will go to the basically repo projects, and then I can go the, there is an option called, if you see here, right, marketplace. On the project marketplace, if you go, there is an option called as browse market. So basically, whenever you're working with any tools, the tools need to be installed first in place. So in my case, as I told you, we are working with Terraform. In my case, it is showing, but in your case, it will not be showing because we need to install the extension first, right? So you can see there are many. So choose the right one according to the one you prefer, or maybe you feel that is good. Now, if you see everything, this is from Microsoft. This is from some particular person, from certain this thing, right? So you can choose, depends on your this thing. Maybe I would be going with this thing because this is more of official one, right? Microsoft.com. So I can choose this thing. This is a free one. So as you type this thing, you can ignore the review, but then you can see the number of installs, right? So you can just click here, installer. This need to be installed based on the organization level. That means if you're working with the organizations, for any organization, let's say in my case we have a 2-3 organization, right? Now you can see this is organization name we are working. It is showing this extension is already installed. As I told you, we have already done it. You can do, if you have a DevOps server also, we can do download it. That means they manage as a DevOps server, but we are working as a this thing, right? So we can use this thing. Now if you go with the, let's say we have so many organizations name, right? So this all we know, right? Or maybe I can simply take you there also once. Yeah, I can take you there, right? We have this, if you see under DevOps, we have this many organization, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is what it is showing here for us now. Now, if you go with the first one also, for each organization, you need to install it. So they will try to analyze it, whether they have installed it or not. If this is already installed, then they will not do anything. If it is not installed, as I told, this is done. But if I talk about the, that's the 3, organization 3, this time you will have an option to do it. Let's say in my case, as I told you, the one what we are working, it is already there installed, right? So let's not, we cannot install again. We can check it. Now you can see here, because in this particular organization, this is not installed. Let me install. Okay. Now you see it is installed, right? Now you can go to organizations. Now you can go to the 3 organization. Now you can check it. Now if this has just now been have installed. Now if you want to check whether it is installed or not, you can go to the organizations. There is an option called as extension, right? Under organization 3, there is extensions. Click there. There you can see Terraform, right? We have installed just now. We have installed it. It is, we are able to see. Same way, we are talking about the organization 1, right? This one we are working. So here also we can check it. If you go to same, go to organization settings, go to the extensions, right? In the extensions, you can see there are not, you can see the install. These are the extension that I have worked or installed it. So there are so many extensions that I have worked with. So this is why you can see lot many. Now you can also search it based on the Terraform means, right? So you can maybe search one by one. This is the one that I am using it. So this is the reason we need to install Sentinel 3 we also we need to install Sonar Cloud Server, everything. I hope this is clear. now. So that means we need to install the extensions in order to work with the this kind of what I call, not here assistant. If you don't have this thing, you can have to write, but to install, what you have to do, you have to install the extension first. In my case, I am done, so it is showing. Okay, I will add it, nothing to do. Now let's go with the installation is done. Second, I would be needing a Terraform, a code basically, where basically if you see here, um, this is what again, if you see the task, what is the task, you can click here. This is again Terraform task. What this will do, I'm going to select the provider, because I this time if you see notice here command as a init, we all know, right? Init is something that Terraform init is something that for the first time whenever you're trying to this thing, you have to initialize, right? So it is required for you. This is why you don't need to define a Terraform init in this case, because we have defined the Terraform as a this thing, right, provider name. So automatically this will taken by the Azure. So you just give a init, you don't have to give a Terraform init, they will take at this by default. Now this is the location where your code resides. That means like whatever code we have it here, right, not here in your repository, right, we are using the repository here. Yeah, here whatever the repository we have, let's say main.tf, we have it, and then we have inside here we have the Terraform manifest file is where we have the code, right, or Terraform code, right. Here this part, how are going to pass them dynamically, right? So this is the reason why you have to call with the name that is defined, whatever name you given, right? So this is the reason you have to check this also. Here, call with this name, directory name. This is coming from the default like a directory, and whatever name that you given, that you can pass it here. Then core, then whatever Terraform manifest. Now, if you see here, it is given as the Terraform code as part of the name. Let me refresh. I mean, typed it here. But if you search here, as I told you, there's just given Terraform. This is the name they're given, right? But if you talk about our case, it is something we have added extra things. Let me check. Where is that? Mm, mm, mm. Okay, it is in pipeline, right? Yeah, if you see here, now we have given this thing, right? So you have to check this thing, this code. This is a level. Now, button shift her house. If you see here, this is the uh, name that you given, core. Under core, we have this thing. So this is how basically we need to see the structure. Sometimes if the correct formats are not met, it may not be work. Okay. Okay, let's stick with the here. Okay, now we have understood this part. We will come back again later here. Okay, we have to define it according to this thing. This is the, because this is where our Terraform code available, right? Then I can do is next. Now I need a subscription details also. This subscription detail is something you have many, so you can choose the right one. In my case, I will select this one because this is something is currently used, right? I can now select the resource group details. Now these resource group details, why I need to define this resource group details, I need to define because we need to have the backend, right? Because it is initialized. During the initialization itself, when you're working with the pipelines, you need to set up your backends. That means your this thing. Now this is the name we had defined, right? This is the name we given. If you see here, storage account name. This is the backend we are going to store. So you can check it if you want. Yeah, you can share Azure backend RG1, right? Same thing I'm going, and this is the name of the storage account. Let me copy so that I can show you also. Where is this? Okay, now you can see the backends. Now storage account name, also automatically they should be picked up if it is configured properly. And same thing, container also. This is not the this thing. Whatever name is given, this is actually not the correct one. So how you know that this is not a correct? So That is also something we need to check. So container name we can replace. You can replace with the one if you know only. Right, this is coming from where? This is coming from your existing basically the container name. So in my case, what I'll do, this is a container name, right? I can replace here also, or I can change here also. So in my case, here I can give a Terraform dot tf state, right? This is the name normally should be. Here's container name. Let us see what is the container name I given here. I think I given as container state, right? This is the name I given. So container state. Okay, so I can give this thing. I can, okay. Now this all done. I can paste it because this need to be updated. I will update this thing. Okay, so now you can see here, use container state. I have to update this one. So I have updated. Now, as soon as you update in the line same, as I told you, you first need to click your cursor properly first, then only you change it. First, keep your cursor properly because otherwise it will format will be disrupted. Now, as I told you, now it is gone. See, so I have to select once again. I have to select the right this thing. So I have selected. Now I have to select once again. This one. Sorry, not this one. Right, this is a backend something. Backends. Then storage account as this thing. This is the backend, right? Then it's container name. I can select as container state. Then this also I need to change as the Terraform dot tf words. Sorry, Terraform tf state. Terraform dot tf state. Okay, now this is good. Keep the cursor, then modified it. Okay, otherwise when you edit, it will change the format. Okay, I have done it. So I'm done with the first one. Now let's go with the next one. Next test is about the validations. This is again is optional, but I would say you can define this also. Now here also same step, whatever we have used in the same format. Now you can click here cursor because this time it is going to be again install Terraform, right? Then validate before validate it will install. Why it is installed? The reason is we are using the Microsoft hosted. Okay. Now here is the thing. Now here, if you see here again, this time it not be the how time in it. Let me check. Terraform in it. Oh, I think 2 times I added. Is it 2 times in it? Daily. Okay, I got it. Normally you will have to, you will not be doing this every time, but we have to do it here because there is some issue with the what you call Microsoft hosted. I'll explain why it is having we have to do. Normally you will not do this again and again. You have to just do a Terraform this thing. In this case again, now if you see here, we need to define again here. The reason why we have to define here is because we are using a separate, we are using the Microsoft hosted agent. But in your case, if you're going with the real time base, you will not be doing this so again and again. Now, same thing, I can do this also in it. I can select the backend RC, right? Yeah. Okay. Backend state. Terraform dot tf was sorry tf state. Okay, this way. So this way we can do it. Okay, now I can just this thing save it. So same way we can do it for others also. So what I'll do is I have already written Terraform code that is for basically a very simple one. So now you understood right, how to write it. So this way we can have to define it for everything. Now what we will do, I have already written the Terraform code according to the simple requirements, so that you can use instead of the big code. So if you see here, this will be a very simple code where you can define it. Now if you notice here, this is the simple way we can define. So I will copy pasted this thing. Let me check if I have all the code. Now how to write same it is the same concept. You can deploy it, right? So let me copy this thing. Okay, I will remove this one. Now you understood, right, how to write a code. So I will not write a code fully, so I will show you. uh, okay, otherwise before that I want to show you manifest, service connections and everything, right? Okay, one thing what if you notice here, let me copy this also. I will copy to another folder also, because I want to explain you something here as well. Tests. So this value, whatever we have, is basically it's a hard coded value, right? So that means you are not passing using some variables. So as I told you, if you just notice here, let me explain you the one what we just did. Whatever value we have right here, if you notice, example, you can notice from here. In here, this is all okay. Part is given, but if you see the backend, as backends here, be given the service connection name here itself. Same thing for the backend resource group name, I have given here itself. Same thing for the storage account name, I have given here. Same thing for the container name also I have given here. Everything is given here. That means this whatever value we are passing, like for your secrets or maybe for everything, right? This is all hard coded value. So this is very risks, right? When you work in real time. So what we can do that, instead of defining your hardcode value here, right? Instead of defining your actual value in your pipelines, as I told you, you should not be doing, you should not be updating here. What we did was, I have updated. If you remember, just we were doing. Let me take you to the project settings. Sorry, not project settings, on the pipeline. If you remember, I was showing right under library, we were updating the listing. Okay, if you remember, here we have a backends, right? So backends, basically this is a variable name. So in order to basically avoid whatever we are working, like whatever the value we are passing, let's say the value, same value, you can notice, right? Same value, whatever we have, container name, and then we have a resource group name and the Terraform state files and the storage account name, service connection, everything we can see. Maybe let me push my here close by, right? We can see everything here, but right, but this is something that we don't want, because this is hard coded value. So we need to find a way where we can basically minimize the hard code and define with the help of variables. So in this case, there are two types of variable we can use. One, I would not say there is type, maybe, yeah, different way I'm saying it, different way of doing it. There are two, three different way of doing it. First way of doing it, if you see here also we can define it. You can see define the variable. This is just a variable. If you see, use the variable to store values or encrypted secrets separately from your repository. Carefully analyze. This is just a variable. If you click here, see only the variables. That means if we have the single variables, even within the pipeline, there has a capability to define the variable name. Let's say I want to define a certificate related, or maybe the service connection detail. You can give a service connection, any name you can give. Let's say I can give a service connection, and I can give the value, whatever value that I have defined it. Instead of here, right, I can copy this one. I can define it here like this also. This also works fine. This also keeps a secret. You can keep this as secret, means this will not be visible to you. See, like this, it will go, right? This will go up. That means this will not be visible. If you untick, this will go again, like it will be visible. But again, if you keep like this also, they will not be able to see. But the pylon can read the secrets, a value like that. You can save it. This one way of doing it. Second way, one thing you have to notice here is that this we can define it while calling it. We have to use the variable name, whatever name we are defining like this. Like this is a common always used like this variable. Okay, but second thing, they have given the stable. So if you're using the PowerShell, you have to use bash. If you have to use like this, if you're using the PowerShell, they have to use this format like this. Okay, but if you're working with the real time, you will not just have one variable, right? You will have a multiple group, multiple set of variables defined based on the regions or maybe based on the application, right? So how are going to store here? This doesn't make sense for me because only I can have a one variable. I cannot have multiple variables. This is the reason why we have it in different way. So how we can do it? This is the reason why we are using the concept called as under projects. Go to project settings. Sorry, not project set. Under projects, there is a call. If you go project pipeline, under pipeline there is a. Let me show you other. You may confuse otherwise. Okay, go to the projects. Under projects, right? I'm inside the projects, right? So okay, click on the pipelines. On the pipeline, you can see the library. Select this. As soon as you select, there is an option called as a plus button, right? Variable groups. So you can select if you want to create new one. Let's say I want to create new variable. Now, whatever the variable name you can define, and whatever the value you want to give a key value pair. Key means let's say storage account. You can give name on name of the storage account. You can define. Let's say resource group name. You can mention name of the storage account, resource group here like that, and so forth. Okay, in my case, as I mentioned, I have already done that. So I have given the variable group as this name, Terraform backend configuration or config. Within here, I have given this is a container backend container. That means container name I given as this thing, and same thing for the resource group name, backend resource group. I have given this resource group name. Basically, I have updated, right? Same thing for the storage account name. I have updated, including the service connection. I have updated everything. That means this is very much isolated from your pipeline, but then pipeline still can read this one with the help of word, with the help of this variable group. If you use this variable group, automatically while calling it, you have to define the variable group, and while calling it, you have to call with the its value name, like whatever variable name. Let's say I want to call the container name means because you have defined on the high level, then you have to call with this name, then automatically this value will be fetched. So this way we can basically prevent using or avoid using hard-coded value in your pipelines. Okay, now let's go here. So as I told you, this is all hard-coded. Same thing for everything. This will be very rich. This is the reason why I told I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to remove this one, everything. So I'm going to remove everything. I'm not going to use anything. Okay, let me remove everything. Save. I will remove this also anyway. As I told you, I don't need it. I can hide this one. Right now, I don't have anything. So I'm going to write from the scratch, right? So I have already written, as I told you, I want to show you to save the time also. So now if let me copy paste it now. Sorry, not this one. I think this is the one. The value, this was the hard-coded value, right? These are hard-coded value. I don't want to do this one. I have something very dynamic way. Now let's understand this point here. Now, if you notice here, we have a trigger as main as it is previous. Now here, just carefully notice here, if you want to call the existing pipelines variable in your pipelines, you have to call with the give this name first, variables. It is not variable, it is S, right? Variables. And same format, dash, then the one space, then group, like this. Let's say if you have another group just like this one, you have to call again dash group and whatever group name like this you have to call. If you have a multiple time, you have to call, because in this particular group name, if you just let me copy this one, this is a group name I mentioned, right? If you go here, let me search it. This is the name, the group name I have defined, right? The group variable group name. The same name I have to refer it. This is the, you can ignore the description, you can give any name, but then this is something that you need to give the as it is. You have to just copy paste. Don't type manually, try copy pasting. Okay, so I have copy paste the same name as it is, variable name under this variable group, because as I told you, if I talk about the variable group, it basically contains a set of variables defined. just like how we define a container, a name, a resource group, statefile, everything we are having, including the service connection. So to get all the value, I am calling with the variable group name. In order to define in variable file, I mean pipeline, this is how you need to define it. Variable group, then name of the group. Okay. So in my case, I don't have any other group for now. I can ignore now. Okay. Second thing is a pool. As I told you, there are two type of pool, right? One is a self-hosted, Microsoft hosted. So I have already explained also. If you're going with the right, if you come here, as I told you, if you're going with the self-hosted, you can use this format. If you are going with the Microsoft hosted, you can use this format. So in my case, if you're going with the Microsoft hosted, you can copy paste this one, or you can type it. Now you can type also. Like you can, if you want to type, you can type. It depends on that. In my case, it is not the this thing. I can use it. I can use BM images, or I can type it. If you know, if you don't know, sometime if because there is a template, you can refer documents also. You can type accordingly. So I can. It should be if you need to one, two. Okay. You have to go to. You have to give it two space. Then name. Then again after a single space, then name of this one you have to give it. Okay, so this is how we need to define it. Okay, now we have understood this one. Now whatever stage we have seen, as I told you, multiple stages, we have multiple stages. Now in the stage itself, I have a deployment, Terraform deployment related, whatever name I can give. Now what will do first, it will go and they will check out the self-hosted, not self-hosted, basically the repo. They will check the repo within your here, this particular repo. Basically they will check this one, then they will try to install it, because I have already done the installer. It is going to install. Second, it is going to be initialize. Now this time, initialize time, now I need to give the complete path. Now complete path means this will not work like this. I have to give the Terraform where the Terraform location is stored. In my case, Terraform we all know, right? If you go with the existing the one what we were working, you can see this format, right? We need to define this powerful part. So I can copy the same part because this looks correct for me, right? Basically, but one thing if you notice, um, let me, yeah, I think I can copy paste it fully because this is a Ajak part I want variable name. So yeah, okay, this is a variable name. And then what else? I have it uh, your value, whatever the value is there. Basically, I don't want to have any other. And this is important, right? Connection string, connection. So this time the connection, if you see resource group, everything, from where it is going to take, it is not there here, because let me check the Azure RM service connections, right? Yeah. So here, as I told you, we have a service connection, this name. I'll be using this name. Why this name I want to use here? Because this is dynamically I want to use it, because this service connection variables I have defined it in my libraries here, right? I have defined it here, everything. So this is why I can use it. Then storage account name also same, I can use it. In my case, for the first time, okay, I will select this thing for the first time. Backend issues group also, it is telling me to select it. Maybe okay, I will select, or let me not select anything. Let me select the default one. I'm trying to see. I will give as it is. Okay, so yeah, this is all we have it. Now once we are done with this thing, I can ignore this one, because as I told you, this is already predefined. I have defined already. Now second stage is basically here directory, right? Only the directory name we need to change it accordingly. So that's something we will change. And then what else? And I can ignore this for now. I don't have a TFVers file. Maybe I can ignore for now this part, right? Then this also again service connection. So what we do basically, so we understood how to define everything. Now let me remove it, whatever we don't need. So first thing, how can I remove? I need to define the these details, right? So these details in the sense here. So what is the correct name? I have to call. So I will take the correct name and update it accordingly. Because this is a full part. This is where we stored our manifest Terraform manifest file, right? In your pipeline, basically, if you see your pipelines. Sorry, where is that? Okay, this one we understood, right? If you go to the pipeline depot, this is the reason why this name, right? Whatever name we are having, this is the repo link, and this is an under here we have it. If you expand this thing, you can see the Terraform manifest. This is the reason why we are giving this part, full part. So sorry, not this one. Here. Okay, now we will complete as soon as possible. Okay, this connection, as I told you, we have not defined the hardcoded. We are passing from the variables group. So same thing for others also. So same way, I will go with this thing. Now you can also see same way. Now this thing also I can update it accordingly, because this is the correct part. I don't need to have this one. I can remove for now this one. I can just comment it for now. I don't need it. Right. So I don't need for now. I think I don't need here also. Let me check. Backends is okay. And then keywords. Okay. Now we have apply. Apply also we don't need to have this one auto approve or anything. I will comment it this also because we don't have a Terraform.tfvars file for now. So this will not be used. So okay, now we have done this thing. Now if you try to run it according to whatever is in defined, now let me this thing. Okay, so this is how Terraform we can define it. So as I told you, but when it comes to the real-time base, the structure would be different. But for now, you understood, right? What is the parameters? What are the details bit that we need to define it? So that's important. Let me just check it. I need to approve it for the first time, right? So there is a two permissions, pipelines, backends. Okay. Oh, did I select two different? Okay, let me cancel it. Let me cancel this one. I did not define two times. How do I get this thing? Okay, I have canceled it. Let me check the pipeline. Why is this coming? Backends, okay. Terraform, service connections, service connections. It's correct only. Okay, why two times coming? Maybe different stages. Okay, anyway, let me not here. Let me run from the main branch. Right. So pipelines. This is one authorized. 1 minute. Let me check back. Okay, let me click here. This is March from how is coming. Main trigger is okay. Self checkout. Oh, it is taking it is taking the default this thing. How is it strange? We have to use this thing. I can remove this, and why this is coming. The default what we had, right, that is taking. I don't want the default one, so I will check here. This is the main branch. Let me switch the branch first. Oh, main branch. Okay. Okay. So I need to remove the code from the this branch. So this is conflicting with the old code. So what I can do is this is a new code, right? Let me check. Yeah, I will keep this code into the main branch. So I will directly change the directory. It is conflicting with the existing pipeline. So let me switch back to main. Sorry, checkout main. Is it spelling wrong? Sorry. Git checkout main. Okay. So in this case, I will first remove this one. I don't want to remove. Let it be. I just want to modify on top of for the latest changes, right? So yeah. So let me copy here, right? I will remove this one. I'll update with the latest one. So environment is okay. Ubuntu. Let me run Terraform. What is saying? Local have it. They have to before after modifying all the changes is happen in the remote, right? Because in the main branch we did some changes, so we will do a pull request, git pull. Okay, now after doing the git pull, if you see here, because in the remote we did some changes in the main branch, but now we are trying to modify some other value in the main branch. So first you have to get a remote changes, because in the same file here, right, we are trying to we have already committed, right, once, so it has some value, but this is already committed. But if you try to modify with another value in the same yeah, here folder in the same file here, right, we are trying to we have already committed, right, once, so it has some value, but this is already committed. But if you try to modify with another value in the same yeah, here folder, then there is some distinct changes that you need to first get the latest changes from the remote, then only you will have to push the changes from your local. This is how it should be in the real time as well. This is the reason why it is asking me, not allowing, basically. So in my case, I can give this name as it is. This is basically they will merge now. If you see here, merge main, whatever changes they are merging here, right? They're merging it now, the changes. This is a commit ID, a commit, basically commit name. This name you can change anything you want. I can give this name as, okay, you can just say this is basically in the GUI like bash one. You can run your this thing. I can type as control I. I mean insert mode. I can maybe remove it, or you can keep as it is also if you want. I will remove it so that for your better understanding. Now I will say updated pipeline, right? 5 lines. Now this is done. You have to skip button, control the colon. You can see below, right? Colon, W for write, Q for quit. Then you have to use this marks, exclamation mark. Now enter it. Now you can see whatever changes that we are making it from the remote also, it is going to be updated locally as well. So this is how normally it should be done. If you're doing some changes remotely and trying to modify same code locally, this will not work while pushing it. You have to get the latest code first and then push it. Okay. Now I have done it here. Now if I tag the git status, now as I told you, I have already committed. I will not see the changes now, right? I'll not see the changes, but now I have to push the changes now, that remote and local together. Now if you see here, also under main, there is this basically incoming, these two changes now, right? Two main changes you can see here, right? So now I can use the git push. Okay, this should be able to now push to the changes. Now you can see now. Okay, this is pushing well now. Now that means now automatically as part of the pipelines that we have defined it in our here, right? Let me show you here. It should trigger, but before that, let us go to the pipelines. If this is the correct one, you see here automatically the pipeline gets triggered because of the main, and we have updated from both the branches, remote as well as local, right? So I have seen them. Now let's see. No, as I told you, this is got already I have cancelled it. Now it is going to run with the latest code that you are having it here. So sometime you need to play around how it should be used. But yeah, let's wait for some time. Now you can see here permission needed, because as I told you, we are doing for the first time. You need to have the permissions in place to basically one is for the validations, one is for the existing also service connection. So I can expand it, or I can just, if you see here, granting permission here will prompt the use of the service connection, because this is the service connection we have defined it, right? So this is going to be used. I will enable service connection. Second is for the, if you see here, this is for the config. This is for the what? This is for the pipe. One is for the service connections. Second is for your backend configuration, the variable group that we define, right? Here, because we are passing some backend details, right? So I will pass this also. Backend details in the sense, you might have noticed right here, we are passing multiple basically values right here under here config. We are defining the multiple value, we are passing it, right? So this is the reason why we need to approve it. So now let's wait. Now, if you notice your plugins, everything's getting installed, and Terraform basically we have it installer is got installed, and whatever issues you can see the providers also is going to be secure everything. Now let's see for the plan. Now in the plan you can see like how many plans get created. You can see here, right? Total. You can see this many issues going to be created. Total 7 issues going to be created. Oops, fail. Let us see why the pipeline is fail. Now no configuration file. File code. Let me check why it's coming like this. Pipeline actually the plan is success. Fail under host Terraform. Okay. No configuration file. Or to approve. Apply require configuration to be present. Applying Vitor. configuration would make everything for destination manually. No, what is this? If you would like to destroy anything on Terraform. Okay, now it says that configuration is not matching. So maybe we have to check the Terraform on the code level now. Let us see here. Right, pipelines. So let us see one by one. Plan looks able to basically set up. Plan, okay. Here, directory, okay, yeah. If you notice here, we didn't define the part fully, right? So as I told you, you need to define the proper part for the apply also. This time we defined it a part. So this is what they are saying it. The part is not finding it for the apply time. Compile is okay. The reason mistake we were doing is that the same part, it's only given this full part. We do not give the full part. So if you see the plan and the this thing in it, we have given the complete Terraform manifest where it resides, right? Same thing, we need to do it for the plan or apply as well. So I will maybe copy same as it is then, because it is what I needed for now, right? So I can simply remove the existing. Let me change it here, right? So now I have updated the plan as well, right? Now as I apply, now you can see it here. Now maybe save it once again. Let me check. Let me switch to the, sorry, let me switch to the repo. What is the name? Web app, right? Web app, I will check here. I have this thing now. Here is what we have a code. Get status. Now edit, now modify, git commit. Now I don't have to pull because nothing changes manually, remotely. I can simply push the changes now, okay? Updated manifest part. Now it is there. Now you can see the one changes that we need to make it, right? If you see one same. Now one changes because we did only one changes. I will simply use a git push. I don't have to do a pull in this time because it is already updated in the remote as well. So it is pushed it. Now let's see if meanwhile let me confirm if I have defined it properly the part. Okay, good. Okay, now I have defined it. Now let's wait. It is getting updated once again with the update command names, right? Now yep. Yeah, Vani. Your voice is not clear, Mani.
No, it is Hriyen. I wasn't able to hear you. I just thought like
Okay.
you were speaking. Anyway.
Okay. 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 Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Now you can see now it is being created, and then we will see whatever issues the plan is shown. There are two total 7 issues going to be created. It is creating. So now you know, right? State file, basically the backend state file. We did not keep within the repo. We still use the existing, in the sense this here, but still they are able to fetch the information because, as I told you, you will not normally define the backends in your pipeline, so you have to store somewhere separately from your pipeline. Now let's see how many resources are getting created. Now, meanwhile, it is, let's wait. We can check, maybe go to portal. I can just try. Let me check the resource group first, because I think we have created some resource group. Yeah, I think this is a name, new name. I can see, right? Cherry pick, right? Maybe I can check this thing. Yeah. Now, if you go to the basically Terraform code level, it is still creating. Let's wait. I will show you in the code level also, so that it will be easy for you to know it, right? So manifest, we have a Terraform manifest. Now we have the resource group name. Let us see what name we have given. Yeah. So this, as I told you, this is a very basic one. Just for test purpose, be given as a cherry pick name, right? And location should be east to west. Now if you go here, I think this is the name that we could see now, right? I can just copy paste it. Source here. This is the name cherry pick. We are using it. See, under here, we have a Linux virtual machines, and then also we have a public IP. We have another VNet with another name. This is the old one anyway. Yeah, and we have OS type and BM NIC. This is basically, as I told you, very basic. There is nothing called like naming standard that we are following it. It is just the simple test that we are doing to check the pipeline and how to work. That's it, right? So yeah. So now, let me refresh the page once again. And meanwhile, I also check the if this is the container, we have a backend, right? Let me refresh the backends as well. So if I refresh the backends, what happens, right? Now, as I mentioned, so we have a container. Let me just once again take you back there. This is the storage account. We have one. There we have a container name, right? This is where we store our file, Terraform state file. Now we have containers. This is our name, container name we given as part of the basically library. If you notice here, this is the name we given, right? So inside here we have a backend state file. We given name as the terraform.tf state. This is all passing from the variable in your actual pipeline, but we have defined it outside of your pipeline. So I will just copy paste this same name, and I will go back to my here. I mean here, if I search it here, under container is the container name. Now I can simply search it. This is the same as it is. Right now you can see the state file also gets created based on the name. Now the questions you may have it, how is it possible? Because if you don't define, only if you just define the value here and passing the value, this will not work. You have to define this also, backends. This backends, if you don't pass it, right, you cannot, this state file will not get generated. If you want, you can try. Okay, we have to define here, because as I told you, you will not store any sensitive information in your state file. I mean, in your pipeline or anywhere, you has to be dynamic way. So this is the reason why I given the backend as Azure RM and value as a empty. But then the value, actual value, would be taken from the variable group. Why I need to define here is because the Terraform should know with what backend that you are going to use it. But then the value can be taken from your anywhere as long as you define in your variables in your pipeline. Okay. Now, I hope this is clear. Now, what else we have it in the VM? I can go to the VM, check it, other configurations as well. I have the DNS, public IP also. Okay. I think I'm using something with public IP. IP try to access. I don't remember if I have configured something in the VMs level, but as you can see, right, so it is configured, maybe deployed successfully without any interruption. Yeah, maybe I can try this one, because I don't remember what is configured in the VM level, but I'm just trying to check if I can access something. Let me check this level. Yeah, pipeline. Yeah, so pipeline level, as you can see, it is success. Now you know how to deploy, right? So now we have understood the complete flow from very basic. So that's how you can also be basically doing a practice in the real time base. Whatever flow I'm showing you, this is basically one example I would say about the this part. You will be using in the real time as it is. Okay. Otherwise, there is another way of using it that is much more even advanced, but this concept remains as it is, but that way of doing can be different. Say for example, as I told you, you can ignore this thing because in the BM I didn't configure anything, but you know how to configure what is there, everything now we have checked it. So I can see the resource also created. I'm good here. Now next, as I told you, if you're going the real time, this is one way of doing it this way. You can refer the very similar that I have just shown, right? Maybe Terraform. Yeah, in the main branch, let's say, just like here also, we are having now also pipeline, right? Same thing we are using right now currently here also, right? Here also we having pipelines. But here whatever value is there, everything, we are not passing everything. We are just making things much more dynamic way using some advanced configuration parameters, everything. We'll be using it. So yeah, so but this one also we can check it if you want to practice. So maybe you can have a look how it works in the real time. So as I told you, real time base, when I say this will be something like this. We have a repo, we have a modules. Under the same module, you'll have a pipelines, the Azure pipeline.yaml, and this is where we have a pipeline related, and we have a pipelines related configurations file. Let's say we have a commands folder, under command we have a template related. Templates why we use is because we don't want to define all the Terraform code, because if you have to write entire Terraform code here, I mean Terraform steps, that just like how we define here right now, right? Just like how we define in this case, if you had to define, this will be more because there will be a lot of testing. Terraform need to be tested, your Sonar Cloud, Sonar Cube, whatever, even then any other configuration that you want to test it, right? So your code, it will be bigger. But in our case, as I told you, this is a very simple code where we do not have any testing case or testing solutions in our case. So this is the reason why um, we don't have to worry much. But as I told you, uh, if you can see only the simple code, right? But if you have to define all the tasks about the testing case or maybe Terraform related or anything, Sonar Cloud or any other configurations, that case the pipeline will be much bigger and it will be difficult to manage it. So this is the reason what they do when it comes to the real project. They will have a folder like this, and they will make this name can be anything. But in my case, I given as a common because on the common I given templates. Under templates, if you see, I have two templates. One is a pipeline template. This is more of the let's say pipeline related templates I would have it, and then I have it. The second is your Terraform template. This is only the Terraform related. Let's say in Terraform related, whatever task we are defining here, right? This, let's say, we are talking about the providers, then the directory, and then apply this all, including the Terraform init, right? If you have like this multiple different tasks to define, this is within the task, right? It is difficult for you to manage it also, right? It is not easy also. So this is the reason why they do only depends on requirement. Say for example, in particular module, sorry, in particular pipeline, let's say I want to use a Sonar Cloud. What they will do in this case, they will not write a code or maybe testing or maybe the Terraform like a test, what I say, Sonar Cloud related things. They will not mention all the properties. They will not pass here. Rather, they will define a separate folder like this, like here, just like how we define the Terraform.yaml, right? Here, they can keep one more folder called as, let's say, sonarcloud.yaml, something like that. And they will pass all the value through there. And whenever they want to use the particular Sonar Cloud or they want to test it or do something, then in their actual pipelines, they will use something like this. Let me show you something like this. If you see here under jobs, because as I told you, this is part of jobs, right? Under jobs, you can give something like this. This is for Terraform. Similar way, they can pass for the Sonar Cloud or Sonar Cube related tasks. If you have any other scanning tools or security related or vulnerabilities related also, they will have a separate pipeline, basically not pipeline, template. In a template only all the tasks will be defined related to particular requirement, and while passing it, whenever you want to define it, you simply call with the under jobs, call with the template and the name part of the location of the this thing. Now how do we get this name? If you notice, this is the root module we are working, right? This is we are having. Now if you see here under root module, we have a template. Under pipeline we have a common under we have a templates. Under template we have a terraform.yaml, like this. Okay, now you can see it same way. If you have other also, same way we will be using in the real time. Now yeah, that's all. Then same thing for the pipeline related also. Okay, not pipeline, let's say environment. Now if I talk about the environment, let's say, as I told you, in the real time, you can see here, right? We have normally we define the for simple cases all the TFVers file. Let me take one example of the one module called as storage account or virtual machines, let's say. I will take the virtual machine use cases here. Whatever I have defined, all the resources going to be created, everything based on some conditions, and I have defined a variable. So in my case, what happened? Okay. So in my case, you can see the BM, right? This is a BM related variables. Now, this actual value you see here, this is property of your BM. Now, this actual value is not passing. Only the data type, we are trying to pass the data value, data basically, right? Data type. So if you go to the TFVers file here also in the root module TF, in the root module, you have a variable.tf. Same thing you are passing it, right? Same value that variable you are passing it, and you can see same value whatever we are defining the data type, everything same as it is we are passing in your root module variables also. Then where is the actual value? Then you are passing it. The actual value will be passing based on this value. We will be passing in the TFVers file. This example, same thing. If I copy with the same BM name, you can see whatever BM name, Windows BM name, then resource group type and the BM size, everything. This all defined based on the variable you passed it. This will pass. But this common, right? Because this is a global. But let's say in your case, this particular, as I told you, this is stored in your within the root directory, right? But in your real time, what happens? You will have a different environment. Or like we have a dev environment, staging, or maybe prod or pre-prod, non-prod, anything. There's so many different depends on the company. They may use a different terms. They may, instead of the dev, they may use a UAT. Some people they have a UAT. Some people they call as a non-development, something like that, right? So depends on the case. So let's say in our case, we have a 3 environment. Under pipeline, we have 3 environment. You can see, right? We have an environment. We have a dev environment, staging environment, and prod environment. That means we have 3 environment. Now, as we all know, for each environment, there will be a different configuration, right? But data types remain as it is. But while passing the value, what they will do, same value, data type, they will pass everywhere. Only while passing the actual value in the TFVers we are passing. That means only one time we are modifying the changes in the TFVers file, not in the variable file level. Variable file simply we are passing the data type. That's it. Actual value we are passing the TFVers file. Now, but in our case, as I told, there are different type of variable. Environment. If I talk about the dev environment, that means if I want to work with only deploy to the dev environment, what I do is I can have a folder like this under pipelines. I can have a let's say environment. Under environment, we can have a NA or maybe any other region. This is a region basically. Under North America region, I have a multiple environment. Let's say dev, prod, staging, and so, right? Now let's start focus on one. If I talk about only the let's say depth related. Now you can see the name is changed now. Now before it is, if you see here terraform.tvers, this time it is not like that. It is given terraform.tab.tvers. That means it is much clear now, right? Based on the environment now, for each folder or directory, I have defined the variable the tvers file. Now, if you want to define or deploy the resource into the dev environment, whatever the properties name, let's say I want to change the name instead of dev. If it is a prod related, I will change it like that. You can change it. You just need to change the properties in the TFVars file. Whereas you don't have to worry about the Terraform code level because that is already passed all the required data in your variables, root modules, as well as your child module. Okay, so same thing. And we have a pipelines also. This is about the, because as I am told, in the east, let's say environment, we'll be having a different configuration. Say for example, this is about the, if you see here, pipeline underscore, sorry, hyphen variables dot dep dot YAML. That means this name suggests that this is focus of Terraform pipeline variables related to your dev environment, right? So now this is the reason why you can see the name as whatever name we are defining here. This group we are defining here, this name, right? This is for the dev environment. We are same copying. This time I can paste it here, right? You can see copy paste. You can do this time. I'm passing it now. Same thing for the TF action or Terraform action. I'm passing the value from parameters actions. The reason why I'm using like this, if you don't want to use like this, there is a one more way. You can see like this. This is also possible. I can define like this. This is I hashed out. This is also one way of doing it. Why I can use like this? If you notice here, dev, I can define this. You can ignore whatever name you can keep it anyway. Depends on the variable group you define in your library, right? In your Azure DevOps. So if you notice your TFVars file, this is where our TFVars file located. That means I have given the TFVars location because we know already, right? TFVars is location where it is stored. It is stored in the under pipeline and the environment under dev pipeline environment under dev. We have this one, right? Terraform.tfVars file. So I have defined this way. So that means for whenever I want to call with this name, variable name, this will be called basically fetch it. Similar way, environment name, if you want, you can define. And the same thing for the service connection related things. Whatever value I have pasted here. Same thing for the backend subscription I given as a null for now. And this is group, as I told you, all the details also I have passed it. Whatever value is there defined just like here. Let's say container name here I given this value, right? Container backend RG01, something like that. Same way I have passed it here also. So, and also state file also I have passed it using some parameter. This also we can do it. But I want to use much more little dynamic way, so that for some of the things I cannot always hard code, right? Basically I don't want to hard code anything. It should be always dynamic way. Example here, so we have a Terraform I want to call. This time I have to call this value, right? So I have to first know where it is stored. Now if you see here, pipelines, under a pipelines file we have pipelines is here. Under pipeline we have environments. Under environment, now I have given some parameters here. That means in my case, instead of the depth, whatever it is, if it is a stage, some other environment, they will take, let's say under here we have three values, right? Prod and staging. Based on that, each has to take the value. So this is the reason why I have given here value as this thing. Where is that? Here. Then under Terraform, dot whatever variable name is there, if you see, Terraform is coming from where? TFVars I want to call that. Terraform is coming from here. This dev is coming from where? This is coming from the environment. And then TFVars. Last we have a TFVars. So like that, we can much more dynamic way. And as I told you, it remains as it is for backends. Backends, we have a whatever name you mentioned, and you have a resource group name you have to define. Okay, you are passing the actual value here basically, backend details also. If you're working with a secure file related, let's say QWall, anything, you can also define like this. Okay, so once we define everything here, this is about the TFVars related file about your only for development environment. So in your all these thing, you will pass in your actual value here. Default I given because I was trying to use it self-hosted one, and you can see the option variables as very, let's say it is environment because we have a three environment, right? Default is a depth. there is a value called where are you going to deploy the resource when you run Terraform apply, right? Or maybe plan. You can see the option where you want to deploy to the dev, staging, and prod. You will get an option to select. Same thing for the Terraform. While running the pipeline, you also need to have an option to basically when you run the pipeline, what exactly you want to do with the pipeline, whether you want to just validate and plan, see the plan, or you want to plan and apply the changes, or you want to simply apply. Maybe I can ignore for now. You can ignore this thing. I might have given this amount. Normally, I don't want to give because I given 2 times here. So what you can do, this is you can ignore this one because 2 times I have given. But this is good because I want to validate and plan so that I can see just plan. And before applying also, I want to ensure that I want to see the plan also. So in this case, this also looks good. So you can choose one of them while selecting the value, right? Or you want to destroy it. And when it comes to stress, as I told you, under jobs, we have a multiple stress, right? Like jobs. In my case, whatever I want to define a Terraform related, that means we are working with a Terraform code, right? So this is the reason why I have given a Terraform.yaml. So to run the Terraform step, that means under template. Now this looks very simple code, right? Nothing much. But then if you see under Terraform.yaml, you can see under template, right? Terraform.yaml. This is the steps I have defined it. Like where you want to deploy, what is a task, what it has to check out, it has to install a Terraform, then it has to do and so many other things, right? Basically, what you call your conditions and all that. This all need to be done dynamically steps. So based on that, whatever condition you define, automatically this particular pipeline should be able to run it here. So this, but having all the big tasks, but in your actual pipeline, it looks very simple, right? But you know the difference now. How what is the advantage of using so? Now, if you want to use some other task, man, just change the template. That's it, template name. And this again based on the environment, it has to be parameterized. Okay. And also, there is some issue going on. I need to fix this issue. I'm having an issue with auto approve. I need to do auto approve also. Auto approve, not auto approve, basically manual approve. Somebody has to approve the Terraform apply so that they can check the changes, then they can apply it. I mean, approve it. This way we can define it. Okay, so this is how we can use it. So as I told you, this is something I need to work on. Still, I'm facing issue. So this is why I have commented this one. Okay, so now we understood how to work with the real-time base, as well as I have given some demo also. But this real-time also I will show you. Maybe I need some time because I need to fix a lot of issue there. So it's not something easy. We need to analyze and do things. Yeah. So yeah, Tim, I hope this is for today. Maybe we can start tomorrow, or maybe next class we can discuss more about this pipeline related in the real time. So you can practice by your own and see how we can utilize it. So yeah, thank you so much once again for joining. Have a nice weekend. Yeah.